Someone told you that you did a good job. You said it was a team effort. Someone said you looked well. You said you just slept properly for once. Someone said you were talented. You said you got lucky. Someone said they were proud of you. You changed the subject. Someone said you were good at this. You listed the 3 things you got wrong, and every single time you meant it. That's the part worth sitting with. You weren't being modest. You were correcting the record. Most people will tell you this is low self-esteem, that you need to work on your confidence, learn to accept praise, be kinder to yourself. That's not quite right. In 1978, 2 psychologists gave this feeling a name, and what they found in the people who had it worst was not a lack of evidence. It was a mountain of evidence being thrown away. Something is standing between you and your own record. It isn't your self-esteem. But to understand what it is, we have to go back to 1978, Georgia State University. Pauline, Clance, and Suzanne Imes published a paper about 150 women, not a random 150. Every one of them was, by any external measure, successful. Doctorates, academic appointments, professional recognition, degrees on the wall, and nearly all of them believed they had fooled somebody. Clance and Imes called it the impostor phenomenon. Note the word. Phenomenon. Not syndrome. Not disorder. Not condition. They were describing something people experience, not something people have. That distinction got lost almost immediately. It matters more than it sounds. Because here is what the women actually said when asked to explain their own success. They said the admissions committee had made a mistake. They said the test was easy that year. They said they'd worked much harder than everyone else, so it didn't really count. They said people simply liked them. Every explanation had one thing in common. It pointed away from the person giving it. You have a version of that sentence. You've used it this month. Someone handed you something good about yourself, and you found somewhere else to put it. And for about 20 years, that's where this sat. Then a completely unrelated experiment, run for a completely different reason, accidentally explained it. 1999, Cornell University. 2 psychologists named Justin Kruger and David Dunning. You already know this study. You just know the wrong half of it. Bantsu. They gave students tests. Logic, grammar, humor. Then they asked each student to guess how they had scored compared to everyone else. The famous result is what happened at the bottom. The people who did worst were spectacularly confident. They scored near the bottom of the room and guessed they were comfortably above average. That finding escaped the journal and became a meme. It has been used to insult people on the internet every day since. But the same graph in the same paper shows something at the other end. The people who scored highest underestimated themselves. Consistently, the top performers were, on average, badly wrong about their own rank. In the opposite direction. And Dunning and Kruger did not think this was modesty. They thought it was an arithmetic error. So what were the best people in the room getting wrong? Other people. Here's the part that turns this from an observation into a proof. In a later stage of the study, the researchers changed one thing. They took the top performers and showed them other people's answers, actual test papers filled in by their classmates. Then they asked them to estimate their own rank again. The high performers immediately revised upward. Seeing what everyone else had written told them something they could not work out alone. The low performers, shown exactly the same papers, did not correct at all. These were college students, a few dozen at a time, at one university. Small study, worth saying out loud. And it's fair to say the Dunning-Kruger effect has taken a beating lately. Some statisticians argue that part of the curve is a statistical artifact. That if you ask anyone to guess their rank, the extremes drift toward the middle regardless. That criticism is real, and it isn't stupid. But it doesn't touch the piece that matters here. Showing people other people's work changed one group's estimate and not the others. That isn't an artifact. That's a manipulation with a result. So here is the mechanism. It's almost insultingly simple. You are not overrating other people because you admire them. You are rating them on the only material available, the finished thing. You know what your own work cost. The 3 rewrites. The hour staring at nothing. The part you nearly got wrong and caught at the last minute. Nobody else has that file. They only have the result. And you have everybody's results and only your own process. Maya Angelou published 11 books. She read at a presidential inauguration. She won 3 Grammys. And she said that each time she thought the same thing, that they were going to find her out, that she had run a game on everybody, and this was the time somebody would notice. 11 books is not a feeling. It's a shelf. You can go and count them. Now the strange part. Kruger and Dunning's paper is one of the most cited in modern psychology. Their names became a phrase that people use without knowing they are names. And the world took 1/2 of it. The underestimation was never hidden. It's in the original figures. Same graph, other end, from the very first publication in 1999. Nobody suppressed it. We just never built anything out of it. Because 1/2 is a joke you can tell about somebody else, and the other half is a description of you. Which brings us to the phone in your hand. 200 years ago, you measured yourself against the people in your village. 50 years ago, your town, plus whoever was on television. 20 years ago, anyone with a website. Tonight, everyone alive. All at once, showing you the finished thing. You have never scrolled past someone's 4th draft. You have never seen the version they deleted. The feed is a gallery, and you are the only person in it standing in a workshop. That's the theft, not your confidence, your comparison set. So when someone pays you a compliment and something in you refuses it, that is not damage. It's an estimate. It's the correct answer to the question you were asked using the only data you were ever given. You are not broken at receiving praise. You are missing everybody's rough drafts. And the word itself knows. Compliment comes from the Latin complere, to fill up, to complete. It's the same root that gives us complete and compliment. The thing that finishes another thing. A compliment was never a decoration. It was the missing piece. Information you did not have about yourself, delivered by the only people positioned to see it, which is a strange thing to be handed and refuse. 1978. 150 women with doctorates on the wall. Each one privately certain that somebody had made a mistake. Not one of them could see what every single one of the others could see. That is the actual finding. Not that they were insecure. That they were the last people in the building qualified to judge. Someone is going to say something kind to you this week. You already have the sentence ready. You built it years ago, and it's fast now. But the person saying it can see something you have never once been in a position to look at. You have spent years arguing with the only people who had the full picture.